See, flying cars need to be two things. They need to, one, be a car, and two, they need to fly. We have cars, and we have things that fly, so it makes sense that most attempts at flying cars are just standard sedans with flying parts. On the surface, this makes sense, but cars and planes are functionally very different, and not just because one flies and one doesn't. Both of them are developed with aerodynamics in mind, but two completely opposing forms of aerodynamics. Cars want to generate downforce to be sucked into the road. This increases traction and can generally allow fast acceleration and handling, and it makes it less likely to flip over. More downforce is good. It's a good thing. Planes and other flying machines need to generate lift, which is the exact opposite. You want the air to carry the vehicle upwards, not, downwards. This is pretty simple stuff. And while that alone is an issue, it gets worse. The standard set of expected car parts and features, from bumpers to mirrors to trim, it doesn't translate too well in the air. A flying car that looks like this would simply be unstable in flight, and that comes with, safety concerns. Okay, but you can fix some of these problems with a bit of engineering ingenuity, right? Well, yeah, you could have a car retract its wings while driving, and maybe retract other unnecessary drag components while in flight. It might still be a shitty car and a shitty plane, but it could technically be both. And if it was just an engineering issue, I'm sure we could figure that out. But there's a lot of problems beyond just getting it to fly. You could actually argue that's the easy part. As far as I can tell, these are kind of the most dangerous vehicles ever conceived. A good number of past tests of flying cars have led to the death of their pilots, and that's without mass public testing or flying or driving. It's just getting it in the air. The older concepts of flying cars were pretty massive, these wide vehicles that couldn't actually drive on standard roads. And while modern designs get around this with that transforming method, it still introduces a few problems. If wings need to be wide enough to garner lift, it's going to be a big thing. There's only two ways to fix this. You can achieve vertical lift with these spinning thingies or like a helicopter blade, or you can have retractable wings. But retractable wings means moving parts and multiple components on what is a pretty essential, aspect of flight. And when you have those blades and retractable wings on a car, it might make crashing a little less fun. Not just for you, but for the other driver. Modern vehicles are designed to crumple on impact to mitigate the damage to both parties. You can't really translate that to wings or a helicopter blade. So Now, of course, the safety concerns only get worse when you're in the air. It wouldn't be a great idea to give every person a plane, because instead of car crashes, you would have plane crashes, and plane crashes are generally fatal to the people in the air and potentially on the ground. I don't love the idea of looking outside and seeing a drunk driver accidentally smash into my living room at 400 miles an hour. And that poses the other problem, the real problem of flying cars: regulation. While right now we haven't seen vehicles that can really fly that high, well, they'd have to get up there. The FAA requires that you maintain about 1,000 feet between you and the surrounding area in cities, 500 feet in non-populated areas. You really can't land them in the city, you can't really take off in the city, so it's kind of just a plane, right? Even the optimistic specs of these potentially fictitious vehicles show that they can only fly maybe half the height of a single-engine aircraft. Air traffic regulations are pretty standard place for, flying machines, and while I don't love regulation most of the time, in the case of big flying tubes in the air, it seems important. Now, the skies are populated with, lots of planes, all the planes from everyone in the world, right? But it's not that many planes. Not compared to cars, at least. In general, only a few thousand planes are produced each year, both for large-scale aviation companies and private use. On the other hand, over 90 million cars are made each year, and even if just 1% of those cars cars were flying cars. Well, that'd be a big influx to air traffic. Now, I've heard some say by automation this could be managed. Automated vehicles that don't crash, and everything is just, it's computers. Who cares? It'll do it. And it's true, the FAA has opened the doors to automated drones, like in Amazon's case. But see, there's no place to put a person on that. It's generally accepted in a automated vehicle that there would need to be a person behind the wheel in case something went wrong. And for a flying car, this means you would need to know how to fly it. That means getting a pilot's license, something that takes over a year to get and tens of thousands of dollars. This makes it sound a lot less convenient than in media. Yes, it is an engineering hurdle to overcome, something that can't be as simple as just making it lighter or giving it more power, but it's also a regulations concern, something that might not ever be manageable. There's a reason that guardrails and such things exist in places where you drive fast. The idea of a flying car that can go anywhere and crash anywhere, well, that's, I don't like that. But even for the hyper wealthy, those that would be fully devoted to this concept, I don't think a flying car is coming. That market's kind of saturated with small aircraft. Adding a car to it just makes it a shitty version of both. It's more components, so it's more maintenance, more prep work to make sure this vehicle won't come crashing down in the sky. Because if a car stops working, just, dies in the middle of the road, you still have a lot better chance of making it out okay than if your plane stops working in the middle of the road. I don't like the idea that some guy missing an oil change or having a dead battery might lead to, well, yeah. After so many decades, after the same old story time and time again, I think this is one element of predictions in the future we might just need to accept. It's not coming, and it probably shouldn't come. I'm sorry, the flying car. I'm sorry, and you will be missed. But hopefully you stay missed, because you're a terrible idea.